Okay, so, um, so anyway, we're gonna discuss something that happens to me quite a lot, and I just don't understand it. This goes with the skincare video that will be posted at 6 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So it should be the first video you see. But anyway, going on here. I have a PSA for like the straight women of the United States, because this seems to be a universal thing. Why is it that y'all get offended when hold on, because I'm gonna go Facebook Live. So give me just a minute here. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay. So this is like a PSA for like the straight women, because I genuinely want to know like what the thought process is. Straight women will ask lesbians, okay? They find out somebody's lesbian and then they got questions. So they'll ask us things like, do you think we're pretty? And we say, sure. And then they want to know if that means that we want to sleep with them. But if we say no, they get offended. And I don't understand why you would be offended by the fact that I don't want to sleep with you. Like, are you like on the DL? Are you like closeted maybe? Like, what is the reason for this? Like, I know this woman, and I happen to mention how I like, and I mentioned this thing where like I like women with big asses, and this is not uncommon. We all have preferences. And she was like, oh, so you must like mine. And I was like, because I don't like confrontation and because I don't like hurting people's feelings, I said yes. And then she was like, well, don't let that distract you. And I'm sitting there like, I don't really like you as a human being, let alone as a lesbian. But I don't like confrontation, and I don't like fighting, and I just want to do what we're doing and, you know, be done. Like, that's it. I don't want to hurt your feelings, so I'm not going to. But then they get offended because they'll be like, oh, I bet you stare at me all the time. And you're like, nope, believe me, you are not the one I'm looking at. Because I'm a dick like that. And I'm just going to directly say it. You're not that hot. Whew, I almost tipped that whole chair. Like, I personally don't find you attractive in the slightest. But I'm not going to say that because I'm not setting out to hurt your feelings. I don't want to do that. I'm not a mean person. I don't want to be a mean person. So I'm going to tell you what I think you want to hear because it's going to make you feel better about yourself. Not because I actually believe it. But I just... Okay, so like, lesbians have preferences just like straight women do. And I don't understand why this is not understood. like, I'm not entirely understanding what your thought process is when you ask us these questions, because you want us to think that you're attractive, which, I mean, fair. All women want to feel attractive. Okay. But when we find or say that you're attractive, and we then follow it up with, oh, but that doesn't mean I want to sleep with you, then you get offended. But you would be even more offended if we said we did want to sleep with you, because you don't want lesbians to lesbians to get the wrong idea and think that you're gay. Which, I mean, unless you out there like straight up butching it up, we're not going to think that you're gay. Most of us have a gaydar. Most of us have a functioning gaydar that works. Now, I have said in the past, I have friends I wouldn't be surprised to find out we're bi, we're gay. And that is not a negative thing. It's not to be meant in a negative way. Obviously, as a lesbian, I would never mean it that way. I mean that in the way they dress, the way they act, especially with other women, the way they talk, the way they behave, gives off the idea that there could easily be some unexpected, like, I don't know how to say it without sounding like an ass, but I wouldn't be surprised. And just in the way that they behave, or they dress, or they talk, or they act, or whatever, I would not be surprised. Now, that being said, doesn't make them gay. And I hate when people say that, because they'll be like, oh, well, the lesbian thinks you're gay, so then you must be gay, because that is not how that works. The lesbian doesn't think you're gay. The lesbian thinks you show signs of being interested in women. Just saying. So y'all need to stop taking what lesbians think or feel to heart, because that's not how it works. It just doesn't work like that or hurt anyone. Now, that being said, let's go over something here. Lesbians, okay? Like I said, we have preferences. For me, I like older women. That does not mean that a woman absolutely has to be older for me to find any interest in them. Now, I am married, so I won't find interest in anybody anyway. And I'm happily married at that. But when I was single, having brown eyes or blonde hair or a pretty accent didn't automatically mean that I was gonna like try to be with you or whatever, because that's not how it works. Having brown eyes or blonde hair or an accent or a body feature that somebody finds attractive on other people does not automatically mean that you're going to be on the top of the list. I have several friends who have accents. I have several friends who are blonde. I have several friends with brown eyes. I do not want to date all of these people, because that would be weird, and it's just not how it works. Like, if you like blondes, you don't necessarily want to date every single blonde that you see. And if you do, well, then that might be something you need to investigate in therapy. But most of us don't. We have preferences. I don't like the idea of dating redheads. Doesn't mean I can't be friends with a redhead. I just have a lot of my own personal feelings attached to redheads. And that means for me that I don't want to date them. Don't know why people find this offensive, but they do. I mean, seriously, if you've ever wanted to piss off the entire internet at one time, mention that you don't like a certain hair color, and watch how many of those people suddenly exist that didn't exist before. I got comments from people who weren't even, they're like, well, I'm not a natural redhead, but I find this offensive. And I'm like, you can't find it offensive? You're not even a natural redhead. You're a fake redhead. You can't be offended. But, yeah, I'm just saying, if you ever want to piss off the entire world at one time, tell them that you don't like a certain type of hair color or eye color or body type, and the entire fucking universe will be ready to, like, beat down your fucking door over it. I have grown up pretty much my entire life around people that have accents or whatever, and I'm not attracted to every single kind of accent, and I find this hilarious in that people just assume that if it's an accent of any kind that it must be attracted to it. I actually have a deep attraction to Southern accents. Foreign accents are fun. I think they're cute. My friend Taylor is Australian. I think sometimes getting her to say certain things, and also please remember that this also goes by like dialect. Everybody speaks differently no matter where they're from. I have 3 Australian friends and they all say different kinds of slang. So I think it really depends, just like in the States where you're raised. But some of the things that my friend Taylor says make me laugh because her accent makes it sound funny. And so it's not being attracted to it, it's just finding it entertaining. So that's why I say just because somebody has an accent doesn't mean they're going to be at the top of the list for me. And I don't know why, but this does seem to like piss people off when I say that, because they seem to think that like when I was single, I would get all the time people that would be like, oh, I know so and so that, you know, she's British or she's Hispanic or whatever, and I'm like, that's great, and I'm happy for them, and I hope they can have a good life, and you know, whatever, but I don't want to date them. And they would be like, but they have an accent, and I'd be like, that is not the only requirement. It's not even a requirement, it's a preference. Like, for me, a make or break it requirement is, are you faithful? Are you honest? Are you there for your partner no matter what? Are you dedicated? Are you faithful? Are you, in general, a good person? Because if you're not, then none of the other shit fucking matters, in my opinion. If you're not a good person, then I don't want to have anything to do with you. And some people think that sounds really, like, mean of me to say. I don't think it does. I don't feel like it does. I feel like it's being honest. But the truth is that I just wish that, like, straight women specifically would let go of... you know what, it's not even straight women, just women in general. Please let go the idea of needing validation from everyone around you that you are attractive, you are smart, you are pretty, you matter, you mean something. Because the people around you, at the end of the day, are not the people that matter. Unless, of course, it's like your kid, in which case they matter. But what matters more is the message that you send. And the way you think of yourself. If you don't think of yourself as a good person or think of yourself as an attractive person, then nobody else is going to feel that way for you, because we can't. I can't make you feel like you're... I can't make you like yourself. And I think for women in general, so much of our lives are dependent on the idea that people around us find us attractive or need us, or we're unattainable, and mystery and error and money and cars and all these things, they don't make you who you are. And that's why I say, as a gay woman, I wish more people understood that my sexuality is not the only thing about me. It's not even the most interesting thing about me. You know, the most interesting thing about me is probably the fact that I was born without a right hip socket, or that I'm adopted. You know, there's so many other things that I personally just feel like are much more interesting than me being gay. I have mental health issues. You know, there's a lot. Like, if you look at my TikTok, you'll see it's all over the place. Like, I talk about surviving domestic violence. I talk about being gay. I talk about mental health. I do day in the life. You know, I talk about the things that I do every day. I talk about the things that I enjoy. But I don't settle on just one topic. And it's so important for us to learn that we are so much more than what the rest of the world thinks we are. And if you are looking for validation from the gay community, then babe, your boyfriend probably isn't treating you right and you need a new one. A lot of the times, women seek validation from other women, not based on sexuality, but we seek it because we're not getting it from the male factor in our life. Now, and don't get me wrong, because people be like, being a lesbian must be so easy. Motherfucker, no, it's not. There are days I want to square up with my wife on a regular fucking basis. But I do know that if I ever needed reassurance or coddling or just understanding, I have a partner in my home that I can count on to give me that validation, that reassurance, and I don't have to go seeking it elsewhere. And I'm not saying that this is not a pass for anybody to go cheat on their partner. Don't do that and say that I told you to, because I'm not. I'm saying that women seek validation from other women because we know what they need. And it's not a dig at men. I'm not saying men are idiots. I'm not saying that they don't understand. I'm just saying that that tends to be why we as females seek validation from our counterparts. And that's okay. I'm not saying don't do that. It's okay. It's normal. We all do it. But that when somebody doesn't physically want you or wants to be with you, that does not mean that you're not attractive. And I wish more people understood that. It doesn't mean that you're ugly. It doesn't mean that you're not, you know, worth anything. It doesn't mean shit. It just means that you're not who I want to sleep with. You're not my type. You're not. But it doesn't mean you're ugly. And I hate that people take that as soon as we say, oh, I don't want to sleep with you, they take that as, oh, why? You don't think I'm pretty? That's not what I said, Deb. And it is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate that this is the way that women see themselves, is validation through sexual desire instead of validation through friendship or self-worth or being a mom or a sister. There are so many other more important things that matter about you than whether or not somebody wants you. And that's what I have to say about that one. Stop seeking sexual validation, because sexual validation means absolutely fucking nothing in this world. And don't get me wrong, I used to be the same way. And that's how I ended up in the situation that I ended up in with Kyla. And I still get like that sometimes. But my wife has spent the last 3 years of our relationship showing me that I don't need physical validation to feel loved or wanted. And I can't thank her enough for that, because she's changed the way that I see myself and the way that I interact with other people. Now, rule number 2 when it comes to straight women, and I'm going to go back to this because this shit pissed me off so bad when it fucking happened the first time. If you are going to add a lesbian on social media because that lesbian is friends with another friend of yours, and then try to make it sound like the lesbian's fault, just know that you are the butt of every joke in our community. Because I can't tell you how many times I have told that story on TikTok, on Facebook, and people fucking laugh because it's ridiculous. Like you're a fucking joke in our community, and it's because your assumption is because I'm gay, I automatically want to be with every woman that I see. But you're offended because somehow that doesn't apply to you, even though you don't want it to apply to you because of your religion or your feelings or whatever. But you want to feel validated by my attraction to you. So the fact that I'm not attracted to you makes you feel invalidated, even though that's not what you want, because other people might think that you're gay. And I realize that that sounds like a fucking mouthful, but believe me, been there, done that. I came from an extremely Catholic family. It took me a very long time to come to terms with my sexuality. You know, I knew at 16 that I was gay. I did not come out until I was 27. And I got married. I got married to a man for all the wrong reasons. And I openly admit that. Your religion should not be an excuse for you to treat people like shit. As somebody who grew up in the Catholic Church, one of the biggest things that they would always teach us, no matter what, was to love thy neighbor. And that's as a Catholic. Christians, I can't say this because I feel like if anybody's going to get me for it, it's probably Facebook. You do not use your religion as an excuse to hate another person. We all have the same 10 commandments. We all read the same fucking Bible. It means the same fucking shit. Do not use your religion as an excuse to hate other people. And then the other, and then another thing I hear a lot, and I love this because I think it's fucking hilarious. Is people who see lesbians who have kids and are like, how can you be gay and have kids? Like, we all make mistakes. No, I'm just kidding. Your kids are not a mistake. Your kids are gorgeous and they are spitting images of you, and love those kids. But we've all, I think all lesbians at some point have been with men. It is very uncommon, but not unheard of, to come across a lesbian who is virgin and has been with no men. Because most lesbians, to be honest with you, come out as being bi before anything else. That's okay. It's okay. I did too. Except that I wasn't. But I was so afraid of like I didn't know how to flirt, and I was not a very confident person in myself, and I was convinced that women wouldn't like me, and that, I wasn't gonna, go anywhere in my life as a lesbian. So I tried over and over and over again to force myself essentially to be straight. We see how that worked out. I am now happily married to my wife of 3 years. Well, my wife of almost 2 years, but whatever, you know what I mean. I wish it could say that things are different now and we don't have to live like that. But unfortunately it's not any different, and we're still living like that, and it's gross and it's weird, and just everybody needs to not do that and stop it. But oh my god, this is like super pigmented, and I didn't expect it to be. OMG, hold on. My brushes aren't completely dry, but like, I'm concerned by how orangey pink this is. So we're gonna see if the wet brush kind of will help, like, blend it out a little. better, right? And I don't know if any of this video is going to make sense because I'm just kind of rambling, but I wanted to point out that just because you know a lesbian or you're friends with a lesbian doesn't mean that that lesbian wants anything to do with you aside from that friendship that you may or may not actually have. And most of the time, especially when it comes to me, I'm just trying to avoid confrontation because I don't like confrontation. And it makes me nervous. And I don't want to fight with you. But I don't know how to say this any other way than to say, I wish we didn't feel the need to seek validation this way, and that we could find another way to boost each other that doesn't require lesbians having to be like the sacrificial lamb, just because their belief in doesn't necessarily align with how you feel about yourself. I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying that because it's true. Do not ever do not ever think that another person's view of you as a human being is more important than how you see yourself, because it's not. It's truly not. The other person's view of you means shit, and you need to know that. Just saying. The only person's view who should matter, the only person's view of you that should matter is your own. Just saying. That's how I feel about it. And don't get me wrong, I do it too. I see validation from other people because I'm meek. Usually I use a brush for this because I feel like it's too cakey, but I don't have a clean brush. I mean, I have a clean brush. It's just not dry yet, and I don't like using a brush. Oh shit, knocked something over. First, take the headband off first. It's fine. I don't know. I wish there was more I could do to, like, help women specifically. But just know that you are beautiful and you matter and you are important no matter what anyone else says or thinks. And if they don't agree with me, then they're not worth your time or whatever. And you need to move on. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a spouse, well, maybe not a spouse because that's a lot more difficult. But if your partner isn't treating you respectfully and isn't making you feel good about yourself, then speak up for yourself and say something, because fuck that guy. Just kidding. Just kidding. But no, always stand up for yourself and know that no matter what, you are a beautiful human being. And what other people think of you doesn't matter. What does matter is what you think of yourself. And as long as you are proud, bleh, shouldn't have licked that. Bleh. And welcome to Get Ready With Me. And as long as you are proud of who you are, then that should be the only thing that matters. Because you know what? Other people suck. And other people shouldn't be telling you how to feel about yourself anyway. They should mind their own business, in all honesty. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me while I got ready. Glad we had this talk. I'll see y'all later. Bye.